This is the Öjendorf cemetery. It is the second biggest cemetery in Hamburg, Germany, and one of the stranger ones that I've seen so far. For the cemetery's size, it feels surprisingly empty, like a big park just recently converted into a cemetery. The trees are mature, but the graves are hardly to be seen anywhere, but maybe it is because of the unique design of its quarters, which are mostly shaped like circles, or like hamburgers if you will. It has this incredibly natural and garden-like atmosphere to it, with most of the grave markers blending nicely with everything else. I'll show you some interesting tombstones, quarters, markers for new graves, the World War II Italian soldiers monument, the Islamic quarter, the Urn Field, and at the end we'll check out what are the current market trends at the nearby tombstone exposition. I'll compare this cemetery to our biggest and most crowded one in Poland, the Central Cemetery, because it is its polar opposite, but with similar landscape, so the contrast should be the sharpest possible. Let's start. Let's talk about these hamburger-shaped quarters. Most of this cemetery looks like this. You turn from the main road into a secluded circle with a few dozen graves in the center and bushes shielding them from the outside world. It gives a feeling that each of those quarters is its own little cemetery. It feels very private and peaceful. In the Central Cemetery in Poland, there's none of that, and the quarters are packed with gravestones to the absolute brim. I'm very used to that look, and such empty space makes me feel a bit weird, but to each its own, I guess. The quarters at the Öjendorf are neat and tidy, and it hardly feels like you're at the cemetery at all. Here you can see that the new burial plots were already marked some time ago, because the wooden markers are looking pretty old already. All of the graves in the hamburger-shaped quarters are urn burials, hence so much space is left. To my knowledge, only the Islamic quarter has casket burials, but I cannot be sure because I have spent only an hour at this cemetery and didn't plan to make a video about it until I saw it with my own eyes. This here is the Urn Field. It's a huge empty space with a few spots designated to spread the cremains. There's a jar full of candy here, and I have no idea why. This is the Islamic quarter. It looks like the opposite of the rest of the cemetery, and there are only full-size casket graves in here, because in Islam the cremation is a sin. This quarter looks surprisingly familiar to me, like one of the quarters at the central cemetery, with just a little difference in density of the gravesites and the size of the bushes. Most of the tombstones have walls of text on them, so I assume that these are the verses from the Quran. Some of the tombstones are very intricate, and some are as modest as they can get. Let's take a look at the map. The cemetery is huge, almost 100 hectares, and I barely scratched its surface. I left the most spectacular stuff out because I didn't know about its existence at all until I got home and researched a bit. This cemetery caught me completely by surprise because I just came to collect a body from its crematory, which can store up to 700 bodies at the same time, with the daily norm being about 250, but that's a whole another story in itself. Before departing, I just took a quick peek at the two of the nearest tombstone expositions. Everything looks pretty standard here, maybe except this screen-printed tombstone with the bird on a branch. This one really caught my attention from a distance. Those little rhinestones make it really stand out and are adding a sprinkle of magic to it. We use similar frames in Poland too. Well, that's it this time. Imagine what I would show you if I would come prepared. There will be more of that in the future, so if you don't want to miss it, then subscribe and click the bell button. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye!